Hi, this is Hank reporting from Kyiv, and this is my update on Russian-Ukrainian war. Let's see what happened around Ukraine in the last 24 hours. What Ukrainians think of Trump's victory. US military production for Ukraine summarized. Strategic partnership with Lithuania. Shahed drone hit Russian house in Belgorod. Russian Navy base hit in Dagestan. Rolls-Royce for a warship. 4.4% of Ukrainians still use Russian software. EU extended training for Ukrainian soldiers. Drones, missiles, and Russian losses summary. The US presidential elections are finished, and you all know that the Republican candidate Donald Trump won. Of course, you and your country understand much more about the pros and cons of this event. I have no right to tell you what to do in your country. I'm not Russian after all. In this blog, I want to briefly discuss how Ukrainians see this event. Perhaps you're interested in understanding our vision. Most people in Ukraine follow the events, remember the ambiguous statements of Trump and Vance. To put it mildly, they were not very friendly towards us. I haven't read many articles with the headlines, "Why Trump is hostile to Ukraine" and how Trump's attitude towards Ukraine has changed. Of course, we depend on the decision of American government in many ways. Our country is balancing on the edge, and when our main ally reapproaches us with the fact that having lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers and civilians, having lost control over 30% of territory and constantly suffering from missile attacks, you stubbornly refuse to go to peace talks at gunpoint, it's not very pleasant. When the occupiers shoot at you every day and someone points out that your bulletproof vest is too expensive, it's irritating least to say. J.D. Vance was talking complete nonsense. I will not even comment. I don't see him being smart or have dignity. I absolutely don't like this person, sorry. Elon Musk showed promise at the beginning of 2022. I remember how grateful we were for Starlink, and it seemed that really all the best people in the world, the most important public figures from athletes to bishops, supported us. And then suddenly Elon Musk began to communicate directly with Putin and his behavior changed dramatically. Then Elon Musk personally intervened in the fighting and cut off communications in the Crimea area, which prevented us from conducting a military operation to liberate our native land. It's not that it's strange, it was idiotic. Since then, everything has been going downhill in our relations. I'm very sorry that everything went this way, but it's the human factor, I believe. At the same time, I saw very interesting statements by some Republicans, in particular a document called Proposed Plan for Victory in Ukraine, authored by three respected gentlemen, Chairman Michael McCaul, Chairman Mike Rogers, and Chairman Mike Turner, which describes in detail the danger of Putin's possible victory in Ukraine and how we, I believe they meant Ukraine with help of the United States, could win this war together. As a Ukrainian, I agree with all the 23 pages of this document. It's written in the style of those cool Republicans during the Cold War. I see a continuation of John McCain's policy. It's a pity that he didn't live to see our time. I'm not very well versed in American politics, but I have studied a few things. I will leave a link to this document below the video. What do we expect from Trump? Most don't expect anything good. Some say, who cares, we somehow miraculously lasted 32 months, went through all the critical 6 months without artillery shells, which is why we lost our fortress of Kyiv and Donbass, and now we will go through all this no matter what. There is a minority that believes that this could be a change for the better. My personal opinion, judging by everything I see, the dynamics, I only hope that Trump is so confident enough and he won't give in to Putin. Not because of love for Ukraine, there are no illusions here, but precisely because of his character. If he gives in to a bloody dictator, then this is a sign of weakness. I don't think it's in his interest today. Let's wait and see how things develop. I don't expect anyone to do our dirty work for us, but we are on the same side, but please don't let us fall. While states were voting, I was studying some statistics to understand where we were heading. I was specifically interested in Trump's statement, quote, "Zelensky takes $100 billion with him every time." This was said back in September, and the statistics on military aid from the United States to Ukraine varied. Now I found this infographic which shows the amount of money that was allocated by the US government, that is, the Biden administration, as investments in the production of weapons and the other related equipment by American companies. This is the money that remained in the US economy, and from it taxes were paid and salaries were paid to Americans working in these factories. All this money actually remained inside the country. As I understand it, this picture shows orders from the defense enterprises for the production of weapons to replace the old ones that they sent from Pentagon warehouses to help Ukraine. Here are direct industrial investments. This refers to the modernization of factories, expansion of production lines for artillery shells and other components. Statistics are current as October 16, 2024, 3 weeks ago. It's written in small print that not all contracts are listed here and there may be some secret clauses. I'm sure that during the war there are always unspoken secret clauses in any agreements between countries. This is normal. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, published an article in April, How Supporting Ukraine is Revitalizing the US Defense Industrial Base, which I left for this video while I was waiting for this infographic you see in the picture to appear. The link to the article will be below the video. Read it if you're interested. In general, we did not learn anything new. War has always been an engine of progress, an engine of business despite terrible destruction. In total, investments of $51 billion to $100 million are shown here, and by the end of the year, the amount will reach $60 billion. 8 American states received investments from the government in the amount of over $1 billion. Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Pennsylvania, Texas, West Virginia, California, and Florida. It is said that the supply chain of components for all contracts covers absolutely all the states of America to varying degrees. Well, in any case and in any scenario, we are grateful for the help, for the equipment, for the money, and simply moral support. I'm writing this text in the morning in Ukraine when we already know the election results. If the Republicans said that it's necessary to show the benefit of supporting Ukraine, then here it is. War is business, war is big money. Lithuania signed a strategic partnership agreement with Ukraine in several areas of the defense industry. In particular, this concerns the production of drones and electronic warfare systems, classically development of action and counteraction. Minister Smetanin said that scientific projects and joint development of new technologies are also planned. This may all sound a bit boring. Two countries signed something, agreed on something, blah blah blah. For me personally, this is just another good sign that our neighbors support us in difficult times. They see the importance of helping us develop the military-industrial complex. They also invest money in their defense in this way. Looking at our relations with them, I want to believe that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Lithuania also gave us 230 pickups and 240 mine detectors as part of the coalition program to demine in Ukraine, which Lithuania initiated and eventually included 21 countries. Today, about 30% of my country is contaminated with mines and other explosives. In total, during the Russian invasion, Lithuania has provided us with 705 million euros in aid, despite the fact that the country's population is less than 3 million people, less than the city of Kyiv. This really means a lot to us. I want to tell you a short personal story. This is a photo of a can of Lithuanian beer brand Wolfas Engelmann. In the summer, I came home late at night tired after a long photo shoot and took a can of beer to relax a little. I liked the taste so much that I wrote a thank you to the brand on Instagram and they sent me a reply, wrote about how they are trying to help us now, ended with the phrase "Glory to Ukraine" and sent me this picture. On each can, they now publish a full map of Ukraine with a little red heart. I see a lot of humanity and empathy in this. This is a small detail, but it is so touching that people from another country feel our pain and wants to support us. Thank you, Lithuania. You are great. A Shahed drone flying to Ukraine was turned around with the help of electronic warfare and hit a residential building in the city of Belgorod in Russia. You can see how it burns. I'm not happy when civilians suffer, even though they danced in Belgorod watching their missiles flood our houses in Ukraine. I remember that. We are very different. Therefore, any civilian casualties are bad in my opinion. And in this video of the incident itself, you can clearly see the triangular silhouette. We don't have such drones. This is definitely a Shahed. We know exactly what they look like, believe me. This particular video quickly spread across the network, but they hastened to cut off the beginning where you can see the black smoke from the work of Russian air defense. Here you can see the smoke. So, the situation looks like this. Russians launched Shaheds at Ukraine as they do every day. Then, Ukraine turned one of the drones around with electronic warfare and it flew back to Belgorod. Then Russia tried to shoot it down with air defense, but they failed and the drone nosedived into a residential building. This is a direct result of your actions. You got what you deserve. I wonder how many of the residents of this building are still happy about the war. Drones, probably ours, hit the main base of the Caspian flotilla of the Russian Navy. You can see how elegantly it plans to the Russian military pier in Dagestan. We do not yet have the precise data on what was hit, probably two large warships, Tatarstan and Dagestan, as well as small missile ships. They used all these watercraft to attack us with missiles. Today, we are probably the most effective in destroying the Russian fleet compared to all other types of equipment because we practically do not have our own fleet in this war. A little later, a video filmed close-up appeared. You can see how happy the Russian sailors are with what is happening. They have a unique opportunity to run in the fresh air and sunny weather and practice filming a report like a real journalist. As they say, thank you for the special military operation. And here on the map I marked the location of this object. As you can see, it's quite far from the territory of Ukraine, which we control. More than 620 miles or 1,000 kilometers. A good result in any case. It will be interesting to see how they will suffer when Ukraine finishes building our own long-range ballistic missiles. Rolls-Royce for a sunken ship. This is not a joke. Also, there is a decent amount of Ukrainian humor here. The founder of the company, GSC Game World, which produces computer games, in particular the world-famous Stalker and Cossacks, Sergei Grigorovich announced that he is ready to give his car to the one who sinks the Russian warship Admiral Grigorovich. Quote, in Russia there is a frigate called Admiral Grigorovich, and this is trough floating, which can be dangerous for my country. I talked to the guys and I promised a tidy sum if they sink it. Only because it disgraces my family name. If they sink it, so that it does not disgrace my family name, the family name of my parents, the family name of my children, I am ready to give up the Rolls-Royce. The real price is somewhere around $300,000. At auction it can be $500,000. He is ready to drive this car somewhere in Europe or Ukraine at the request of a successful hunter. It's funny, we have already had cases when we paid a large reward for a driven Russian helicopter for destroyed ships and equipment to those Russians who went for a deal. They also received a new passport which allowed them to start a completely new life. Good chance for every Russian. Russian helicopter pilot Maxim Kuzminov, having received a lot of money and new passport, flew to Spain, to the most Russian-speaking corner of the country, bought himself an expensive Mercedes and began inviting his former girlfriend from Russia to visit him. As a result, he was shot and run over by a car in Spain in February of this year. Unexpected news. We conducted a study and found out that 4.4% of users in Ukraine use the Russian software Yandex browser for web surfing, according to the Star Counter service. What can go wrong when you use your enemy's software during a full-scale war? I don't know how many people were counted, but in any case, the bare fact that you are using something Russian that can get your personal data, analyze your information, and simply have access to files on your computer is damn unreasonable. Google Chrome is in first place in statistics, then Edge, Opera, Firefox, and Yandex. A very strange situation, but as I already said, good luck trying to ban something to the Ukrainians. Richard Yaskoviak, editor of Radio Svoboda, reported that today EU ambassadors extended the training mission for Ukrainian soldiers for 2 years. This, of course, does not mean that the war will end in exactly 2 years. It doesn't mean anything at all, except that the EU is building a long-term strategy regarding our war. This event can be viewed from two sides. From pessimistic side, the EU sees that it will have to stew in all this for at least another 2 years. From the optimistic side, the EU is not going to abandon Ukraine for at least another 2 years. I'm inclined to the optimistic scenario. The countries of Europe see the danger, see the challenges that we all face, and are building a strategy. I would like just to see more decisiveness in their actions. Let's see how today's main event of the planet will change the course of events. Last night, Russia launched 63 attack drones at us and we managed to shoot down and land 58 of them. 4 missiles and 142 aero bombs were also launched. As for the FPVs, we counted 1,370 drone strikes on our positions. In the city of Zaporizhia, 8 people were killed due to a hit on an infrastructure facility. This hell continues despite the elections, the weather, the changing months and days of the week. And our hunt continues too. Over the past 24 hours, we destroyed 1,250 enemy soldiers. Also, 6 tanks, 11 armored vehicles, 20 artillery systems, and more than 5 dozen other types of equipment. As for the 700,000 losses, our historians believe that in order for this to have a real effect on the Russians, we need to double this number. So we have no option to surrender as always. If we choose short-term security between freedom and security, then after the loss of freedom, there will be no security either. We all saw how Putin disposed of almost all more or less healthy men from the occupied territories of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. There will be no conclusion. I thank everyone who stays with us despite everything. Take care, and I hope to see you tomorrow.